In this episode of the Denoise podcast, we've got a ton of new AI image generation updates.
The death of Hollywood, a debate between celebrities.
And Roblox is now in the generative 3D space. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, dude.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you. We got so much stuff to cover.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli everywhere. And you are blessed that you're not on X because my entire feed has been Studio Ghiblified.
Well, I'm glad
did not know what I was
you're
talking
on
about when I mentioned this.
You are my source for all things X. So what's going on over there?
Yeah, because I'm chronically online. A timeline of updates this week. AI space is crazy, and this has been a crazy week of new image models coming out and everyone trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
For me, the week started with a brand new company image model that came out called Reve, R-E-V-E. Mm-hmm. And the demos coming out of that, and it's open for like a preview beta, were they trained their own model and very photorealistic, highly accurate looking images from their own model. It's similar to in the kind of mid-journey space, their own private model. So I don't really know what they trained on. Of course, that we get in that whole question. But
is it an American company?
I believe it is an American company.
Okay.
So putting that aside, the outputs have been really impressive and the quality's been impressive. And the other thing that it did do really well is text. And so text has always been a tricky thing.
Absolutely.
From image generation. And I've talked about how Ideogram's always been my favorite because they've been the best at honoring text and replicating, if you give it a text in the prompt, of spitting it out accurately. And so they were handling text really well as well. So I saw a lot of demos from Reve of text outputs. So that was going around. That was probably, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday. That was the hot topic of the internet of X. And then shortly after that, I believe on Wednesday, not to be outdone, ChatGPT, they did a live stream with Sam Altman and some of their developers and announced a new image update in their 4.0 model, 4.0 image generation for,
that was huge news. Even,
naming.
I heard of it on LinkedIn. It was all over YouTube.
Yeah.
And the overall consensus was that, dude, this is great.
Same chat interface you're used to, and you can prompt it and give it high quality image outputs. And let's go with the good things we've seen first. So I've seen impressive examples. One from Jan on X was he pointed out that he uploaded a 3D model of a dragon and told it to put a wireframe on it, and it accurately 3D mapped the wireframe, which gives his understanding that has spatial understanding.
Spatial understanding on a 2D image.
On a 2D image.
Crazy.
Impressive. So that's a big leap. I've seen tons of other examples of people giving it just photo, like a shot of a room and then some texture of some wood and like an object and be like, make the wall, this wood panel color and like add this lamp on the table.
Yeah.
And boom, does it, adds it, looks really accurate.
For like an interior designer who's trying to visualize spaces.
Yeah. Or, mood boards or production design, planning. John Finger just posted an update this morning, a test where he hand drew a storyboard sketch of like clown holding up a bank and a couple police officers like pointing guns at him.
I saw that.
And gave it an image of a clown and then said, turn this into a photorealistic image. And it like accurately honored the geography of his hand-drawn sketch, turned it into a photorealistic image with the image of the clown. Pretty accurate.
I mean, this is like really advanced control net stuff where you can guide the inference and you're doing it with just basic prompting. And
and this is right. No one needs to have any technical knowledge. Like
I
this
guess
is
you don't need comfy UI anymore.
I mean, there's a level where it's like you want that control, you want that detail. But for most people, or if you're just looking to just kind of create a vibe, a chat interface. I mean, chat interface is still not my favorite thing, but
I mean, what's easier?
You don't have
than
to
just
get prompt fancy with it.
Saying
I mean, you don't need to be a clever prompter. I tested it out, gave it some very basic prompts to try to generate a split screen 3D rendering thing, and it did it pretty accurately, and I told it to modify it, and it did the modification pretty accurately.
So far, everybody seems to be happy. Nobody can like find an extra thumb or like some kind of hallucination.
I mean, I'm sure you'll hit the border, if you are a graphic designer more in the weeds where you're like, it still does not do the control that I want.
So it goes back to what I said a few episodes ago. Comfy UI workflows are still like 6 months ahead of where the big industry is, big AI, if you will. And so ChatGPT has caught up to what some of the workflows were around for 6 months. So now let's look at the AI influencer space and see what they're working on, because that's probably what the big companies will release 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm. It felt like a slightly more advanced, higher quality version of what Google AI Studio came out with a week or two ago. It's in their like AI playground area. It's tricky to find, but in their Gemini to image chat generation, where you could upload an image, kind of have a conversation with modifications. It's a very similar experience to that, but the outputs I found with ChatGPT.
So it sounds like you use both. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I have dabbled a little bit with both. And the Gemini, when I messed with it, I just had to modify some pictures of friends for like to meme them and send them jokes. And it did a pretty good job, but it was still a little fuzzy and, you know, kind of that like AI like warpiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little soft. I did try to see if I could use it for some like thumbnail generation for YouTube. So I gave it a photo of myself. And then I gave it a Leica scanner because we're coming out with a video about that soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, make me hold the scanner. And then it did give me an error saying that I'm a real person and it won't change the scene because I'm a real person. So like a protection against
So there is,
deepfakes.
there is built-in protection against manipulating existing
It says,
images
I can't generate
of people.
the image you requested because it involves placing a real person's likeness into a new context, which goes against our content policy.
Perfect. I mean, that guardrail is so necessary for this product to be mainstream accepted, because deepfake is a big issue.
And that's, you know, you can go on something that sort of has zero or very little guardrails like Grok, which is sort of leaned heavily into you could deepfake and meme real life people as much as you want.
Elon said that there is an unhinged version of Grok where it just starts, you know, dropping the F-bomb and like doing all types of stuff.
Yeah, not surprised. Obviously behind it because they will like retweet and repost AI memes of themselves that other people shared. So they're full behind that. ChatGPT's gone the other direction, which is awesome for them. So, you know, different options.
They're really buttoning up and formalizing the software.
Yeah, and I mean, that probably also ties into their push that we talked about in the last episode, where they want to have the copyright laws a little bit loosened, or the interpretation of fair use loosened to include their training data that would fall under fair use.
Right.
So the flip side are sort of, I don't know, well, I mean, it depends how you look at this. Downside, but anyways, the thing that has covered my feed is for some weird reason, everyone decided to Studio Ghiblify every single image known to man and post it on X.
And it's so ironic because Miyazaki is like one of the staunch opponents of AI.
Yes. So Studio Ghibli is a very distinct style. Miyazaki, there was a clip that I remember that happened a few years ago and now it is recirculating because someone had gave him a presentation of AI. And do you want to read one of the first quotes?
Yeah, let me pull
His
this
reaction.
Up. The quotes from Miyazaki are so much fun that I think we should just go back and forth a little bit. So I'll start with the first one. Mm-hmm. This is a presentation of an artificial intelligence model which learns certain movements.
Miyazaki's reply, I am utterly disgusted.
Miyazaki continues, I would never wish to incorporate this technology into my work at all.
I strongly feel that this is an insult to life itself.
And there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he likes AI.
His style is all over the internet right now. Let me backtrack. I said I'm not entirely sure. I think I do know why. So when the live stream, when Sam Altman and some of the developers had a live stream and posted this, what the image generation could do, they took a picture of themselves and then said, make it anime style. And then it came out looking very Studio Ghibli-like. And then Sam Altman changed his X profile photo to a picture of himself in the Studio Ghibli style. And I don't know if that just gave everyone the idea to let's run with Studio Ghibli. I don't, because that's the only thing I think of. Because I don't know why
Sam Altman did it, and
everyone, I don't know why everyone suddenly decided this is the style we're going to like hammer down on. I
gotta say, culturally, that's not a good move on his part because that is
it's a distinct style.
It's a middle finger to a lot of artists.
Yeah, and that is a very specific style. We've talked about this before, where it's like you use these things, make up your own style.
Yes,
like, and you know the issue with like making it using Pixar in the prompt or something that is like a very distinct style and that you could argue is
all the thousands and thousands of hours of animators animating the Studio Ghibli movies, you know, and now it just distills down to meme generation. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the flavor of the week. The internet moved on from I know you're not going to know this, Saratoga water and bananas. You're going to have no idea what I'm talking about. But
wow, you're on X, man. I'm on LinkedIn. You're on X.
Yeah, maybe Saratoga water will make its way to LinkedIn 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. You're 2 weeks ahead for sure. Yeah,
it is a distinct style, and then obviously it fuels the AI slop and the just like it just gives more fuel to the like never AI people or the like very like knee jerk reaction anti AI people without getting into the subtleties and benefits of this, like stuff we see from John Finger, where it's like, oh, I can like hand draw a storyboard and like turn it into a photorealistic image.
Yeah.
For my planning process or for other steps of the process.
I mean, 100% in the next few years, we're going to see a major film that is predominantly built on all of these tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the question will be which studio wants to be the first to distribute it and handhold it.
Yeah. That'll be another question.
Yeah, because the style works so well and ChatGPT 4.0 is able to generate it so well.
It does look really good. For better or worse, all of the images I've seen, it's like it looks very. I can't really see much weirdness in how it interpreted the style, and but
theoretically, you can take just hand sketches frame by frame by frame and do like a 12 frames per second output, and then just in between it, just like how they do 2D animation. And you can make a movie this way using like a team of like 3 or 4 people.
I think that's a good process for a good use of AI and process of you still hand create the keyframes.
Yeah.
And that's a feature that Runway was pushing, and they released, they're the only ones, I was talking to someone about this yesterday, they're the only ones that we could think of that have a middle frame option. Like a lot of the image generation models, either first frame or last or both. And you're kind of up to, it's up to the AI how it interprets that. But Runway has an option where you can give it first, last, and middle, so you can further guide the AI. And it's not that different from a process from, nearly 100 years ago in the early days of animation. You would have your good artist draw the main frames,
the
and
poses.
then you'd have the poses, right? And then you would have your junior artists do the in-betweener frames.
Yeah, they go flip back and forth.
Yeah.
Look, we saw Flow this year win the Oscar, team that used Blender, and I think it was like 20 people from Latvia, something like that. Give it a few years, you're going to see a team of 5 people with $1 million make something that's Oscar worthy with tools like this.
And at the end of the day, it still always comes back to, like, yes, it'll be easier to make this stuff, but it comes back to story, and it comes back to how good's the story and like what you're going to do. Again, I feel like it's similar to the DV revolution when, it was easy for everyone to grab a camera or the iPhone, and it's a lot easier for people to shoot stuff.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot more noise.
Yeah.
But, if the story sucks, it's just more noise, and it's not like it's going to drown everything out. It's just more, only the good stuff will surface to the top.
I got to say, with all the sort of image revolutions of the past, like when Photoshop and some of the early image manipulation devices came out, and then real-time game engines, and then renderers, like it was still difficult for the average person to download it on their computer and do stuff with it and output it. Because it's so easy now, I think that's why you're seeing so much more slop and so much more noise. But it goes back to...
it hijacks on someone else's IP, like Studio Ghibli, or we've talked about this before, like, using a Batman example or using the Pixar example, when it's hijacking someone else's creative identity or creative work or signature.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Yeah, like when I produced that short film that's out now, like, that was not a big effort on my part, but I still hold that movie so close to my heart. And so if someone went in and just started copying that movie for stuff in AI, I would feel a different opinion about it, for sure. I could totally see it.
You don't feel like imitation is the greatest form of flattery?
Up to a point.
Duplication is too far.
Once they profit from it and make their career based on my work or the other artist's work.
When it's too much of a copy, not enough of a remix.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when
that's a problem.
Crosses the line.
Yeah.
One other big advantage with 4.0, before I forget to mention, and moving on to Ideogram, huge improvement with text and text adherence. And I've seen examples of people give it like large amounts of text, to create a kind of like a board and accurately spitting out the text, putting it, not jumbling it up, which is always
that's
an
such
issue
a
before.
huge advantage, because motion graphics is still something that we're having a lot of difficulty with, finding artists and just generating motion graphics. So this stuff, you can just composite a bunch of motion graphics on top of your YouTube videos.
Yeah, I mean, what I would love to see, because this is a wall we have hit in trying to speed up some of the graphics work, is if you start giving images with text to the video generators, like Runway or Kling, they're past a certain point of like how small the text gets, it jumbles it. And even bigger text, it'll jumble it. So the video generators maintaining and honoring the text and keeping it sharp, there. Pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd just say you do it frame by frame.
So then we're animating.
I mean, there's some automation tool out there. Like ask those guys from the AI hackathon.
Oh, for
like repeatedly inserting a frame every 10 seconds.
You probably have to segment it and like do your, and we're doing this manually anyway. It's like, okay, well, let's take out the text, animate the stuff, and then go back and composite the text back on, which is sort of the process with a lot of these AI tools. Under the hood, when you get to the higher level of like trying to make a high quality images, it still ends up being like you're taking elements from different outputs and compositing them together using traditional compositing elements like After Effects or Fusion.
Nuke.
Yeah. That's heavy. That's too heavy. That's too heavy for me. But yes,
I do love me some Nuke. Yep.
And then last one that came out, not to be outdone, Ideogram, which I've enjoyed. I use them a lot for image generation. They were always the best at text adherence, but now there's text adherence competition. But they released a new model, version 3.0, and the gist of the updates with that is just more. You can kind of feed it different styles and have it adhere to the styles across different images. A lot more use cases for creative brand graphics and creative graphic design work, logos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more geared for illustrators and people.
A bit, yeah. They had a good interface too, because when you're using their interface, they go a little bit beyond just the text prompt, and they have options where it's like, are you trying to make something realistic? Are you trying to make something that's styled like an animated? Are you trying to make a graphic design? So they had a lot of good buttons to not have to prompt it yourself, but to kind of guide the AI of like what you're trying to create. And
dude, you sold me. I'm going to try it right after this
I've been
podcast.
a big fan of Ideogram. Yeah. I've liked them.
I'm looking at it here. They have a new batch generation feature, which is kind of like what I was talking about. Just unsupervised, just give it a ton of stuff and let it just churn.
They'll use your credits happily. Yes, give us your CSV of all the stuff you want us to make.
Yes.
Crazy. I remember, I think, was it Monday? We're like, well, we'll see what happens this week. If there's we had some story ideas that we could sit on. And then like as the week kept going, it was like ChatGPT, Reve, Ideogram, new image thing.
Crazy.
Image thing. Yeah.
It's so hard to keep up. And I did a LinkedIn post a couple of days ago where I said, Joey and I wait a few hours before every episode because there's just so much news and coverage. And today is a very typical
I try
day.
to think about it the day before, but sometimes like this morning, I'm just like, let's get it all together. Cause like it's anything new. I check Twitter X too. I'm like, anything new happened like last night? That we should talk about before. Yeah. And I see the John Finger video and it's like, okay, there's even more stuff, new stuff that people have been experimenting with. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to gather up for you.
All right. So if you have any other models that we haven't covered, send us a comment and we'll get it on the next episode.
Yeah. All right. Next story, going back to our Is Hollywood Dead?
California is not even in the top 5. Remember that episode?
Yeah. I remember that one. So yeah, there were a couple stories and we were sharing them back and forth. And the first one was a clip that's been circulating. Adam Scott was on Rob Lowe's podcast and they were talking about production. And it came up because Rob Lowe, one of his game show that he's hosting, is a very American-looking game show that shoots in Dublin, Ireland.
No way.
I did not even realize that.
Well, from what I hear, Ireland is like really hot right now with production.
Because they just 40% tax credits.
Right. And North Ireland is supposed to take some of that action, but it's mostly South Ireland, really? Dublin. Okay. Yeah, so it's not going up to Belfast just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he shoots there and they're just talking about, he says, quote, it's cheaper to bring in 100 American people to Ireland than to walk across the lot to Fox and shoot in LA.
Damn.
It's crazy.
That there's so much truth to that. He's right?
Yeah. And they're talking about if they're having to shoot Parks and Rec today, they're like, we'd shoot in Budapest. Like they wouldn't let us shoot in LA. We'd force us to shoot somewhere else.
Imagine the cost of flying Rob Lowe and Adam Scott to Ireland
and putting them up for
100 days.
And Adam Scott was talking about it too because he was about to shoot a movie in Ireland. He's like, I'm going to be in Ireland for a few months because we're shooting a movie there.
Like these guys are not staying at Holiday Inn. You got to put them up in nice places and give them staff and accounting for all that. It's still cheaper than just bringing LA people to an LA stage.
Yeah. I mean, the tax credits, that's just crazy. Yeah. And even with the, talk of bumping up whatever, it's 300 something million now and bumping it up to 750 million.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, these places don't have a cap. Georgia doesn't have a cap. We talked about that in our tax episode. Yeah. So just how do you compete with that? And with talking about putting them up, I believe it was Trilla Studios in Atlanta where they shoot a lot of the Marvel movies. They have a whole separate, not backlot area, but like a separate residential area on the lot with like little mini houses that are, nice little mini houses, but are designed to put up your A-list actors or your like above the line talent because they're going to be camping out there for like months or a year or so for these big films, and they don't live in Atlanta.
Trillith is such a good example of where the other cities are going because Atlanta was one of the OGs of tax incentives, right? Mm-hmm. So Trillith was probably built out like 2 decades ago, just when this stuff was happening and in its early infancy. We're going to see Trillith-like stages in Ireland, in Austria, in Australia.
It's not just the stage, but it's the infrastructure to house this out of country, out of town crew.
Yeah, and so many places already have it. Like New Jersey already has it. Vegas is working on building one. It's, you know, the devaluation of production out of Hollywood, I think also ties into the devaluation of celebrity status. Let me explain what I mean. Yeah. So like both Adam Scott and Rob Lowe are sort of part of the A-list Hollywood talent. In the past, all the films were shot in LA, and you had maybe 50 to 100 celebrities who were really powerful. They kind of held the key to everything. Fast forward to today, almost nothing shot in LA. Things are being shot everywhere. And on top of that, you have the creator economy. So you have YouTubers and TikTokers who are probably just as big as Rob Lowe as far as audience size goes. They're doing shoots in unconventional ways, and they're questioning, is this the only way to make content, the way Hollywood does it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess going off that, like up and coming creators where it's like, you know, they don't need a crew of 10, 20 people to pull something off. They can do it with 5, 6 people or less.
We talked about Emma Chamberlain and Mr. Beast.
Yeah, or even like Michelle Khare was an example I've gone back to a few times, because like the stuff she makes on YouTube is like network quality. Could be, you know, her stuff's like 40 minutes long. It has like narrative structure. Yeah. You know, and she does it with whatever her team is, like 5, 6 people, and has been approached by traditional production companies, be like, hey, let's turn this into a show, you know, bigger crew and more money. And it didn't fit with like the way she makes stuff.
Yeah, and that ties into what Mr. Beast once said. Like he hired some executives from Disney on his senior team, and he was like, well, I had to get rid of them because they were just taking things and kind of blowing them out of proportion a little bit. And we're way more lean than them.
Yeah, and I think that's a symptom of a lot of things that, you know, need to be rethought or changed in the way things used to be done in the Hollywood system. Yeah. And like what the new reality is. And that was a lot of what Michael Choney talked about too in his HPA talk that's now on YouTube. And we've mentioned that a few times, and we'll link to it. But a lot of it's just like, you know, what got us here now is like not going to get us to the next stage. And like, unless we
certainly won't go back to the way things were. The question is, what is that new format of production, new format of celebrity status, new format of decision making?
And I mean, it's crazy in, you know, LA too, because it's not like in these other new areas where it's like, oh, now we got to build up the infrastructure. We got to build up the stages. It's like, it exists here. It's just like something needs to change to make it not crazy expensive to shoot here.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, the void that's been left by a lot of the productions going overseas is being filled by the creator economy here in LA. Like, some of the lots are busy with, you know, shooting some YouTuber content, and then, you know, maybe it's not a team of 100, maybe it's a team of 20 people, but there is like a secondary economy kind of picking up that vacuum.
Yeah, another example, movie coming out, Luckiest Man in America. A good friend of mine produced it, and good film. I saw it the other day, so I would highly recommend. Also, 90-minute film, which I feel like you don't see just a good solid 90-minute movie anymore. There was like 2-3 hours, so A+ for that.
Is it a comedy?
Yeah, it's a comedy, suspense-ish. I mean, not a suspense, but it's based on a true story. Do you remember Press Your Luck, the game show from like the 80s? No whammies. It was like...
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, the no whammies was like the signature thing. But it was like a board with like a bunch of lights would come up, and you'd have to like hit stop. And, you know, either you win some money and then you can keep going, or if you hit a whammy, you like bankrupt, and there's like a little whammy character. Like, so it was one of those classic 80s games. I used to watch Game Show Network as a kid.
I vaguely remember 80s LA as a kid. Like if I close my eyes enough, it was so different.
Yeah. So there was a guy who memorized the patterns of it wasn't random. He like recorded everything and memorized the patterns, and then got on the show and then started taking them for a ride,
just schooling them.
Yeah, and so it was about his story and kind of their interpretation of what happened, you know, in between tapings and stuff. Of like,
that's such a good story.
Yeah, it's a good fun story, and it was like
so it's shot in LA, right?
It takes place in LA.
Oh no!
The entire film was shot in Colombia, South America. South America.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was in a studio, so it wasn't like, and there were a couple wide shots of LA, and there were VFX shots, which, you know, if they did shoot here, they would have had to do anyways, because you have to make it look like 80s LA, not today LA.
So more smog and...
Yeah, I mean, Colombia, tax benefits, pretty much, you know, same reason that we've seen elsewhere.
It just, we could probably have
feasible for, you know, a movie this small, just was not feasible to shoot in LA.
I didn't realize Colombia was a part of the overseas game.
Yeah, I don't hear about that as much, but I think similar benefits like Ireland or, you know, going there, same tax incentives. You know, go back to the Rob Lowe thing, I'm thinking too, like, you know, you did mention, it's cheaper to fly 100 people over there. Probably not as many, because like one of the things usually with these tax credits is you have to hire a certain amount of local crew. Like that's why they do this,
in the contract,
boost their local economy. So usually with most of these productions, like the BTL crew, the camera
Yeah.
team and lighting and everything's going to be local, and your cinematographer, director.
Kind of a counterpoint to what Rob Lowe and Adam Scott were saying. So Seth Rogen was on the Howard Stern show. I think he's promoting his new show on Apple TV Plus.
I am very much looking forward to this show because I've heard nothing but great things about it.
It's like
the studio.
Really how messy productions is inside of studio walls. So he was saying something to the effect of, hey, Hollywood's not dead. We're just one or two big hits away from changing everybody's opinions on this town.
Yeah, because Howard Stern was like, well, come on. The theater experience is dead. Hollywood's dead. Just like own up to it. And he's like, nah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, not really. And then he had a really interesting point. He was like, look, when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out the same, I mean, we all remember how massive. Yeah. And then Hollywood made $100+ million at the box office with those two movies combined. And everybody thought the theaters were back. Big grand filmmaking was back. And then we were talking about IMAX and 70 millimeter at the same time. And then he says, look, everybody that's game changer in Hollywood has had, their signature impact on Hollywood, like Ted Sarandos at Netflix, to Greta Gerwig, to
James Cameron.
Yeah. Like they're all changing it and
Lucas,
moving it.
Spielberg,
Yeah. And he said it's going to continue to change, but don't count it out. It's just a matter of a big hit or two.
And he referenced something too, and I actually heard this from someone else yesterday that I didn't realize or connect, where he was like, people were in the 60s were saying Hollywood was dead. And what he was alluding to was when Westerns were like the big genre.
Spaghetti Westerns.
Yeah, but they were like the kind of big, like the Marvels of the day.
Yes.
And then, they were just churning out Westerns, these like kind of big, grand, epic films.
Yep.
And I'm presuming like people got tired of that.
Yeah.
And they just made too many.
Yeah.
It's been like a lot of Marvel and Star Wars films. And it was kind of like, okay, people kind of got tired of that.
Yeah.
And same sentiment, Hollywood's dead, theater experience. And this was in the 60s. And it's like, well, it just changed. Something else arose.
Yeah. I think there's a YouTuber that covers film really well. His name is Critical Drinker.
Let's see.
It's an awesome name. Right. Yeah, I think he's a Scottish guy. And he was saying like he had a really good system for it. He's like, a genre comes in like a Western. Some of the first movies kind of define it. And then you have a peak of the bell curve where there's a lot of Westerns made. And that was 60s Hollywood with spaghetti Westerns. And then it kind of has death. And then it goes away for a long time, right? You don't see a single Western being made for like a decade, 2 decades. And then it comes back in full force again. So he said something to the effect of like, that's what we're living through with superhero movies. Like we're talking about the new Marvel cast and the new Marvel movie, but it's kind of the death of the genre in a little bit. And that has carried us for the last 15, 20 years. So like, what's the next big genre that'll carry Hollywood?
Right. Or, will a studio eventually start pushing out some new IP or something that's
new IP in a genre that is part of the overarching theme of what Hollywood is producing at the time. That's how Critical Drinker was framing it. And it made a lot of sense to me. Like, I don't think comedy is going to make a comeback. We're in a very politically correct period. Superhero movies are kind of dying. So what's like the next big genre? We have already done the apocalypse, the sci-fi stuff. So what's next?
Remember when Deep Impact and Armageddon came out at like the same time?
Yeah, and there was 2012, and there was the San Andreas with The Rock, and like we had that peak of the bell curve. So it's just a matter of kick-starting a new wave of films.
And what he's saying is right. It's like it just takes one good weekend, one big hit.
Yeah.
For the whole conversation in Hollywood to change.
Yeah.
We're back. We're so back.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know this year is sort of like a kind of questionable year of like, is a film going to break through? But next year, there's supposed to be a bunch of stuff coming out. Big, like I think the other Jurassic Park, or is that this year? No, Jurassic Park's this year.
Yeah.
The Odyssey Nolan film.
Oh, yeah. That I'm very excited for.
A lot of films are coming out next year that are expected to be a lot bigger than stuff coming out this year.
Look, nobody knows that this stuff is not working more than studio executives. Like they live and breathe data all day. And the problem there is they can't instantly, turn this ship around because movie pipelines are years long. So we're just kind of seeing the remnants of decision making from the early days of pandemic. right? So let's wait it a little bit and see how this works out.
Yeah, exactly. And then our last story, Roblox announced Roblox Cube, which is their generative AI system for 3D and 4D.
Yeah. Are you on Roblox?
I am not on Roblox.
Yeah. So
if I was around when I was a kid, I probably would have been all over it. And
I have kids who are all on Roblox, and by a secondary effect, I sometimes am in it. I admire the company for building what they have built. I think the goal of Roblox is to get to 1 billion users with a B. That's in-game, right? And they don't call themselves a gaming company. They're a metaverse company, meaning that, you go into Roblox to not just play games, but to make money as a creator.
Right, 'cause you can build games, you can
sell clothing, you can sell physical objects in Roblox. So you can have like a Shopify t-shirt store that advertises in Roblox.
Okay. There's like a currency too, right? Like
Robux.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the conversion rate is, but everything seems to be tons of Robux. And now they have a 17 plus version of Roblox where you can start to meet people. It's like a dating site.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they're really gearing this for all age groups. And now they've introduced their first generative AI product called Roblox Cube.
From what I'm looking at this, it is, like we've seen elsewhere, text to 3D object generation.
The difference here is, think about the massive scale at which this product needs to work. So I can't think of another generative AI product that has to service, I don't know, something like 80 million daily active users at the same time across millions of games. And so this, to me, feels like the largest deployment of any generative AI tool.
It's got to work in such a massive user base.
Yeah. It's got to work on a phone, on a desktop, on a laptop.
A headset.
Yeah.
Let me take that back. I have played with Roblox when I got Quest 2. And I was like, I know about Roblox. Let me try it out.
Yeah.
And I think I played like a Capture the Flag and got annihilated by kids. By kids. Yeah. That was my Roblox experience.
That happens to me too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm assuming this main use case is like you're trying to build out your world, your level. And it's like, well, I want an object that isn't in, I'm guessing there's a marketplace or something. It's like, let me just generate it.
Yeah.
And that would be, you can just build out your world
it's a
and generate objects.
lower barrier to entry for creators. Like, right now, if you were to build a Roblox game, you would have to import models in. So like, let's say you have 10 different cars, you have to like bring those cars in. Now you could just generate
them as a 3D object.
Yeah.
But now you can just make it and not have to deal with this other file system. Do you feel like it's easier in something like Roblox because it's kind of like a low poly, like just the aesthetic of Roblox already is kind of like low poly. So like this is to generate, it doesn't have to be photorealistic. It matches the vibe of the game by being a little bit
and I think it also helps them keep this at such a massive scale, just have lower poly stuff that's being generated. Because imagine storing all this, you're talking about gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes of stuff that people are generating every day.
Do you have any idea about the training? Do you know if this was built on their model? Like, I mean, if this was trained on their assets or like from the existing world?
I'm not sure, but they are saying this is their own foundational model. So completely built in-house. I'd imagine, they have such a massive asset library already. It wouldn't be that hard to feed that into the training for this.
Right, and train it and then keep learning from it.
Yep. I'm sure we're going to see more generative AI tool sets at Roblox because for them, it's all about making the content creation barrier lower and lower. So more people can make more games. And then the upside is those creators can have a real income from the metaverse.
I feel like I could see the next step of this being as well generative, like a full 3D world. Or at least the starting point of a 3D world of like, build me like a saloon. And at least you start to get the foundational blocks in a 3D space. Cause it's like, that's the next leap too, where it's like, we can make an image of a saloon and maybe we can do some segmentation or extraction, or we've seen some image to 3D-ish test models like World Labs and some preview models, but it was like the 3D-ish was like from you're kind of stuck in your vantage point and you kind of look around and you can get like a little bit of like fake 3D, but nothing where I haven't seen yet where it's like generate the room and it's like, oh, here's a table, here's a bookshelf, here's some walls, and you can like move around it.
Yeah.
And Roblox seems poised to like be the one to do that because they already have so much.
I always thought that Fortnite and Unreal would have some kind of 3D world building, but I guess it competes directly with their marketplace where creators already make money from pre-assembled stuff. But I think a lot of the game engines will go this way. Just kind of observe one of the big sort of misalignments with Gen AI is that people think 2D is going to kill 3D. But clearly, It's not the case here. And I don't think anything will kill 3D. 3D will still be the founding block of all of this, metaverse stuff, but AI will just make things easier. And I know it sounds so obvious when I say it, but this is like a concrete example of where this is going.
Yeah, especially from the process of having to like either find a file and bring it in or something when you're just like, I want to vibe world make, and you can just start churning out some objects.
Vibe Game Maker.
Vibe Game Maker. Yeah.
That's it.
In a 3D space. So that's it for this episode. Links, as usual, for everything we talked about at denoisedpodcast.com.
Thanks for your support. We're getting a lot of love on LinkedIn that we've noticed, and then YouTube as well. Keep supporting us, and we sincerely appreciate it.
See you in the next episode. Thanks, everyone.